Marvel Cinematic Universe, along with every other superhero franchise, legacy, universe, whatever, has had way too much of an emphasis on effects-driven, bombastic, oftentimes cosmic superhero movies. Not only are projects like The Marvels, The Flash, and Quantumania more expensive than any wise business owner would want to invest in, but because the polished look, celebrity-driven cast, and orchestrated score are basically everywhere now, audiences are getting the sameness vibe that causes them to find the projects less eventful and more dull and flat, causing the studios to spend more money than they make, with no live-action superhero film from last year apart from Blue Beetle and Shazam 2, and even those couldn't break even, costing less than $200 million, some of them even going upwards from $300 million. And what audiences are catching on to, or at least starting to care more about now, is that because the studios are spending so much, they're taking a lot more safe bets, which one day Hollywood is going to realize, at least I hope, that constantly taking safe bets often results in your safe bets no longer being safe bets. As a result of these expensive, effects-driven, cosmic superhero projects, I'll call them, losing traction with audiences, more street-level projects are starting to gain traction, as Echo, a decent but most can agree not astonishing 5-episode series that Disney tried everything in their power to hide by releasing their first binge release on a Tuesday in January, not only became the most watched series on Disney Plus and Hulu, but also drew attention to other street-level projects such as Hawkeye and the Netflix, not Netflix, TVMA shows from the mid-2010s. This newly found attention is causing Kevin Feige to consider making Spider-Man 4 a street-level project, which really should have happened right after he ditched the Avengers to become a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but shrug. Anyway, because Hollywood and anyone else with the press on them can't seem to go 2 seconds without getting into a fight, this is causing conflict with Sony, as they want to recreate their billion-dollar gold mine by bringing Tobey and Andrew back for another multiverse adventure. And since Disney basically tried to hide Echo, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a similar battle to recreate their 2019 blowout with their expensive, effects-driven projects as well. Going from effects-driven, cosmic, 4-quadrant films to cheaper, niche, street-level films would be a drastic change of pace for the studio, as they've been fixated on these blowouts for well over 2 decades now. And don't get me wrong, the effects-driven films worked out for Hollywood for a while, as they were an absolute dazzle to look at, unlike anything we've seen before, until they became everything we've seen before. On top of that though, it was great taking these godlike heroes and exploring the humanity in them, seeing them go through the same emotional conflicts we go through as non-god beings, but there's really not much left to explore on that front. Like, what are you gonna do? Make another film where a godlike being explores what it means to be human? Been there, done that. Once you push all that aside, all you have is a character capable of shooting lasers out of their hands, punching somebody to another continent, and flying. Last time I checked, none of us can relate to that. This is one place where street-level heroes like Daredevil and Echo have the advantage. They still have the extraordinary abilities. In fact, I would make the argument that Echo's abilities dwell a little too far into the cosmic, but for the most part, they're grounded in reality, which at least brings them closer to what we, as normal humans, are capable of, which leans closer to inspiring and motivational, which is what superheroes are supposed to be, but haven't been for a while, partially because of their extravagant abilities. Daredevil, for instance, might have ridiculously heightened senses, but he didn't get that through a mutation or a cosmic cube or anything like that, at least not in the Netflix version. He got it through intense training and self-discipline. Hawkeye didn't get injected with super serum or get hit with gamma radiation. He's just really, really good at what he does. And even if he didn't have the advanced arrows from S.H.I.E.L.D., he would still have that advantage. An advantage that any one of us are capable of having. And because these characters are more down to earth, it makes their extraordinary capabilities and what they accomplish much more astonishing as well as inspiring. We were blown away by Thor and Captain Marvel when they first came around, but because of how long they've been around and all they've accomplished, now we have a feel for their capabilities and are no longer blown away when they blow up a ship or take out an army. Like, whoopity friggin' do, what else can you do? If anything, it's actually more astonishing when a character like Daredevil or Iron Fist takes out just as big of an army as Thor or Captain America, because they don't have the already extraordinary strength that we would think would be required. And that's what Hollywood is missing the mark on. Cosmic heroes are dazzling, but we don't want to be dazzled. We want to be astonished. And one thing that helps street-level heroes come off as more astonishing, or in another sense more emotionally impactful, is that they deal with more relatable problems. Because of their extraordinarily heightened abilities, cosmic heroes are inherently limited to stakes as big as the end of the world, or the end of the universe, or more recently, the end of the multiverse, which not only pales when you do that for every superhero film you make, but it doesn't create much conflict when there's not much of a debate, as much as something like Eternals likes to pretend there's a debate as to whether the world should end or not. You know what is a relatable debate though? A rich developer trying to tear down an apartment complex and trying trying to brutally force tenants out of their homes, and our characters actually debate whether those tenants should fight for their homes that they love so much, or for their safety, take the money the developers are offering and flee. And because they spend so much time debating about that, one of the tenants gets killed and the characters are faced to question their choices. That's how you hit the ball closer to home, by dealing with more grounded issues that are more along the lines of pick your battle situations and end up having emotional consequences no matter what you do, because that's the world that we live in. This is what we want more of, not, oh my gosh, this guy is trying to end the world. Yeah, so did 3 other villains this year. So what? Now, that's not to say that cosmic heroes are completely out for the count. I mean, we still need at least one good Fantastic Four movie for one thing. We just don't need to see 3 to 6 of them a year, especially at their price point. If anything, taking the angle of more street-level projects could give characters that already have their razzle-dazzles a chance for something fresh and relatable. Make a Shang-Chi film along the lines of a Bruce Lee-style street film. Make Miss Marvel Jersey's friendly neighborhood captain. And speaking of which, yes, very much so, yes. Make Spider-Man 4 less about cosmic universe stakes that we saw before and more about helping the citizens of New York. You don't have to put all your chips into street-level projects, even though you're probably going to, since the new Hunger Games made more money than any of your flopbusters, but the balance has definitely been off, and it's about time somebody fixed that. The bottom line is that we're tired of these expensive fireworks displays and are having a hard time relating to someone with much greater capabilities than us, as impressive as it was that we ever related to them, just saying that out loud. Street-level heroes becoming just as much heroes as the cosmic ones is much more astonishing, inspiring, and motivational. Again, everything these heroes were supposed to be in the first place. And on top of that, because they go through what we go through and they're just as vulnerable as us, their physical and emotional beatings have a much bigger emotional impact, which is what you need to make your films and shows more eventful and therefore more profitable. So in this debate studios are having to make their heroes street level or to continue overspending on the cosmic beings, I'm definitely vouching for the street level heroes, and I would go as far as to say, to balance out Hollywood's accounts, they need to win this battle. Hollywood cannot afford to throw any more money at these polished, dazzling productions anymore, but even if they could, street level heroes hit much closer to home and are therefore going to have a much bigger emotional impact. And maybe Hollywood would understand that emotional impact if they balanced out their book smarts with a fair share of street smarts.